Our vacation every year was we would drive from Illinois to Wisconsin to this little horse ranch in Westfield, Wisconsin. We'd drive 4 hours and I could not wait. And we'd stay in this shitty little cabin that literally would have mice sometimes in it. And we'd go to the front desk and be like, there's a mouse in our cabin. And they would be like, here's a cat. Like, here's a cat. Like,
that did
was
not happen.
Yes, it did.
You're an inspiration, and I have to say this about you, like your podcast and what you represent and what you're trying to get across to audiences. At first, when they were talking to me about this podcast, I didn't understand, and then I looked into it, and I thought, it's fantastic. Now, I didn't know your whole story, but if I would have known, I would have immediately been like, put me on that, because your story is so inspirational to me, how you went through a crisis kind of like similar like I went through.
Yes.
And then how do you hold it together with children and be an entrepreneur and be an influencer and be famous in podcast or on social media while the world's watching, right? How do you do that? So you're a little bit different than me. You've gone through a lot of that in public, right?
Yes.
Whereas I went in, and I don't know which one's better, and I want to say this to you, because I was in healthcare as a CEO, and I wasn't even allowed to be on social media at the time. I could check on my kids, but the rules were, if you work on a pharmaceutical product in a certain area and you have confidential information, it's like what happened to Martha Stewart. You can't talk about it. So they don't want you on social.
Wow.
But then so everything that happened in my personal life when I went through a divorce with 4 children was private, right? So if I went to a store or I went out, people didn't know what was going on. And part of that was hard because I wanted people to understand I had lost everything, not just emotionally, mentally, not just the love of my life, or he wasn't the love of my life, but not just someone I loved. Clayton's the love of my life, but he
Not
was
just the father to your kids.
But you know what I mean. It's
all of
important.
it.
Like, people don't even understand this.
No.
There's a way to get a divorce and get along amicably, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes there's not. And for
Yes.
me, I'm sure I'm like you. I wanted it to be amicable.
Oh, I tried. I was delusional, I guess, but I really thought when we separated that we could be friends and co-parents. I even had this idea for a co-parenting podcast where we could talk about the fact that we're no longer romantic, but we're raising kids together for the next 18 years. And let's figure out how to do it.
I love that.
You know, and bring on experts.
And I would watch that podcast
Right?
just so you know. I'm not lying.
It's genius. Like, it's so great. And 56% of people are getting divorced and nobody knows how to navigate this world.
It makes me have chills because I actually went through the same fantasy in my head.
Yes,
in my
girl.
head, I couldn't talk about it. And this is the first time I've talked about it. I thought we can still work together. We can still do podcasts, do interviews together, do whatever, just say how we went through that in a positive way. And I just never could get there. But you went through what you've gone through and are continuing to go through publicly. The good news is when I really started digging into what you've done and what you're accomplishing in your mission, and I want you to talk about it to our audience so they can hear it.
Yeah.
I didn't focus on that. I kind of looked at 2 separate people. Does that make sense? So the way it was portrayed to me were these 2 separate people that then had worked together, and they were both extremely successful in these different areas. But now that I've gotten to know you, I understand you were like me. You were doing businesses together, but you went through this public breakup, basically.
Yes.
And people are only seeing part of what you're wanting them to see, and that's hard to even navigate.
Well, it's very odd. And, you know, I started this whole social media world before this. I moved out to Los Angeles at 17 years old to do comedy. Like, all I wanted since I was little was to make people laugh. It was like,
do you know, it's my favorite characteristic when people ask me, what do I like the most in people? I'm like, I like to laugh.
oh yeah, like who doesn't?
Yeah.
Yeah. I always think about 2 important things: comedy and music. And like, what would you rather live without, comedy or music?
That's hard.
That's so
hard. That's so hard.
I know, but I think about that all the time, and how, like, comedy isn't serious, but it kind of is. It's so important. It's so vital to people's lives. It is important, but it's always the thing that I was passionate about since I was a little girl. I remember I wrote a letter to Lauren Michaels when I was like 9 or 10. And I was like, "Dear Lauren, I'm going to come on your show one day and make it so funny. Love, Laura." And he like never got back to me, but whatever. Whatever, Lauren Michaels. Fuck you. No, I'm just kidding. But
no, you're not kidding.
You're not the first one to say that either.
But like, my point is, I was very lucky that I always knew what I wanted to do from a very young age. And so I barely graduated high school. I got straight D's. I mean, I couldn't focus for life, but I was so obsessed with making people laugh and writing scripts and plays and things like that.
Did your teachers like you?
No, hated me.
They had to think you were funny.
They hated me.
Okay.
But because I was a disruption to the class.
Well, yeah, you're a disruptor, which I love. So anyway, I love that.
Yeah. But no, my theater coach loved me. She was the one person who saw something in me and was like, I got into a lot of trouble. I was doing drugs. I was just a bad kid, or not bad, but just troubled.
Yeah.
And I hated school and I couldn't focus. And, but she saw that I had something. And so she worked with me and, and I needed that. She was like a mentor to me and believed in me.
And you always have to have someone believe in you.
Oh my God, yeah. And my mom did too. And she always, when I was like, I want to do comedy, I want to be an actress and do comedy. And she was just like, go, do it. My mom and dad both were like, go, do it. So I came out here at 17 from Chicago and I slept on couches and I had no food and I got an agent at 18 and I started doing commercials and then that went into like bad sitcoms and the odd indie film. And I was like a barely working actress. I'd worked just enough after a few years.
Were you happy?
Yeah, I was.
You were doing what you wanted.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I was.
I just want to bring that point up because so many times people think you're not happy until you have this amount of money or this amount of influence. And I love what you said. And I just want to say this for my audience, because what you said was, you've said a lot of things about when we weren't on camera that to me really hit me.
Yeah.
And that is, when you have a lot of money or influence, if you've never had it, you can become a really bad person or a really good person, right? That hits this where you're like changing because you get all this attention.
Yes.
I just want the audience to know, because people have this illusion that you're not happy until you have a certain amount of money or fame or power, and that's not true at all. You're happy when you follow your heart, your dreams, your mind, your mission. So I love hearing this story because you were happy.
That is so true. Yeah. I think growing up, I grew up working class, we always had a roof over our head and food
Midwest.
in our mouth, but working class. Midwest. Yeah. So like when you grow up without money, but I had love and I had acceptance, and it wasn't perfect. Of course, every family there's dysfunction, right?
Mine wasn't either, right?
Oh, girl.
Yeah.
I don't know one person with like a non-dysfunctional family. Like everyone's got some fucked up shit.
Everybody does, and I wish we would all admit that. When people say, and Clayton's mom always says this when they said his family's different, there's not a normal family.
No.
They're all,
no.
and actually, let's all be, who wants to be normal?
I know.
But I love the fact, I want to say this, I grew up in a similar situation where I would go to the grocery store and we couldn't buy everything we wanted.
Yeah.
We didn't have the money, but I wasn't starving.
Yeah.
So I don't want people to think that. I just lived in this middle class, like you're talking about. So you come from this Midwest middle class family and you come here.
So I think, and I think when you grow up with that, you don't think you need lot of money or fame to be happy.
You don't realize it.
No.
My sister brought this point up. So think about this. My sister said, do you realize we never went on spring break?
Yeah.
And she goes, and you know what? I never thought about it.
Right.
Like we never felt like we're not on vacation. Like we never thought about it.
Our vacation every year was we would drive from Illinois to Wisconsin to this little horse ranch in Westfield, Wisconsin. We'd drive 4 hours and I could not wait. And we'd stay in this shitty little cabin that literally would have mice sometimes in it. And we'd go to the front desk and be like, there's a mouse in our cabin. And they would be like, here's a cat. Like, here's a cat. Like
that did not happen.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Here's a cat.
Yes, it did. They gave us a cat. Call my mom and ask her. They gave us a cat.
Yeah.
And this horse ranch was owned by a blind husband and wife who owned a horse ranch.
This doesn't even seem like a real story.
It's real. But it was so cheap and so much fun. And my cousins like all my cousins and aunts and uncles, they would each get their own cabin and we would all ride horses and just go square dancing and have the time of our lives.
And be happy.
And it wasn't about money. Like I never got on a plane and went to Hawaii. Like what? No, we drove to fucking Wisconsin, or to Paris. I'm like, what?
I wouldn't even probably know.
But so then I come out here, barely working. And then between jobs, I'd file for unemployment, or I worked as a waitress in a cigar bar, and I was a terrible waitress. I would wait on Alec Baldwin and spill dessert on him. I was just terrible at my job. But then I started, about a decade ago, I started seeing people posting videos online, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. You can just post whatever idea you have. You have global distribution at your fingertips. I don't have to wait for a director or producer to say you've got the job. I can just do whatever. If I want to write a song about potatoes, I can do that. And then no one can tell me no, and then I can post it. And so I just did that, and I did it obsessively. I posted a video every single day for a year, and I think about 6 months in, I had my first viral video, and I just kept going from there, and I never stopped. And it was I always thought my dream was to be on the next Friends or SNL, but no, it was really just to make millions of people laugh around the world and make a living doing it. And I did that, And
you're still doing it.
And I still do that. Now, since the separation, it's been 3 years, I have not felt my funniest, I gotta say. So what happened was 3 years ago, my ex and I separated, and it was a very traumatic thing that happened. And, what I thought was private. And then the day after I told him I wanted to separate, I wake up to all my friends and family going are you okay? What's going on? Are you okay? And I'm like, huh? I haven't even said anything. What? I go on YouTube. There's a video. I separated from my wife. On YouTube.
What?
He had posted it to the world. So now the world knows, right?
Who posted
my ex?
Are you kidding me?
And it continued.
Was there a reason for that? Because I'm not sure.
Drugs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Drugs.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of druggies. But so I gotta say, from that, it's not really stopped. So I went from making comedy, and I would be vulnerable.
How did you handle that
I've written books where I've been vulnerable. I talk about my drug addiction.
I want everyone to know where your books are, because I want to read. First of all, I have not read your book, and I want to read your book.
You might like it.
You have more than one.
Yeah. Or you might. You can also listen. I think the audiobook is more fun because I do all the voices and characters.
Hear your voice.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun experience.
Yeah.
You could listen to it on a plane. You
Yeah.
live on planes.
I live on planes.
So you can listen to it there.
Yeah.
My first one is called Idiot, and it's basically a bunch of essays from my life, and I write about how I went from being a broke, drug addicted, sad, lost girl to, healthy, vegan, sober, living a life beyond my wildest dreams, doing my purpose, having a strong purpose.
This gives people
being
hope.
Successful. Oh my God. It's
They need
you
hope.
can crawl out of that. Anyone can.
Do you know, in fact, I should bring you, we're doing a thing in London because they have such a high rate of depression for young girls. I want to introduce you to someone that has a magazine and a media company over there, and they are leading an initiative in their high schools with women going and talking and speaking speaking at the House of Lords and Parliament, but also at individual schools, because the depression is so bad and they have so much suicide. So I'm one of the people they brought in. I would love to make that introduction.
Totally.
Because you would make people laugh, and
I'm
I
down.
don't.
No, I'm such an open book.
They would like you a lot.
I have no problem talking about the low lows and how I crawled out. But so that's my first book. And then I wrote a second book called Idiots, which is about, marriage and motherhood. I write about my birth stories and my son being diagnosed with autism and all of that.
I knew about that.
Yeah. And then I'm working on my third book now, which girl,
you have a lot to say.
I think that's going to be my juiciest book yet, I got to say. But so 3 years ago, it kind of all of it came out, and it's not really stopped since then. It's all been very public.
How did you handle that? The good news is, when it was presented to me, just to give you some good news, it was two separate people, and I was getting confused. Now I'm understanding this was very public. Yeah. And but when it was presented, you would have to really dig into this. But I think this story is important, and here's why. I think more and more people go through what you've gone through and I've gone through, and they're scared to talk about it.
Well, yeah.
But you're funny, and I mean this. This is one of the reasons Clayton and I work well together. I am more, and actually I was voted class clown in high school. I just want you to know that.
You got
That's
it in
my
you.
brag with you and Clayton.
Okay.
No, I was But then I became, because of the different things I went through with the cancer and everything, I kind of shifted the mission. I told you what it was. The mission is health and wellness, because of what I had gone through
Yes.
and wanting to help other mothers and almost dying, right? That changed
Wow.
me. You, in my opinion, have experienced, and this is just, but
Yeah.
I used to be a psychologist. You've experienced almost a death of
Yeah.
who you were, and you're so much better. Like you have, you're reborn into this beautiful person despite the pain. And I think your story is so significant because you're bringing comedy into a situation. I just want you to know,
Thank you.
people need to hear this story, because I felt, and people would never understand this about me because I'm around people all the time,
Yeah.
all over the world. I felt so alone. I felt so lost. I felt like
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to complain.
Yeah.
People won't even believe my story.
Yes.
And then people won't relate to me, or they won't like me as much. I know that sounds crazy, but that's what, and meeting you has helped me, because there's things in life along the path that if you don't recognize how important they are, you miss them. But meeting you and you going through this and having to live through it gives me faith in the ability of human mankind to deal with these situations, because we know there's such an increase in mental illness and abuse
Yes.
in this world. And I want to stop for a second and tell any female or male out there that's being abused, it's not okay. And it's not, as hard as a breakup is, and as traumatic it is to a family, no one should live in a situation
Yes.
that's abusive. So you are an inspiration, and your story the last 3 years, it's none of my business when you tell me that you're not as funny, but I want you to know, I think these 3 years will be what take you to a complete new level that's even
Wow.
higher.
Thank you. I needed to hear that, because like some days I'm like, I've lost it. Like I'll never get it back. It's funny. My mission sort of changed from I want to make millions of people laugh on a consistent basis to I want to inspire and entertain millions of women around the world. That became my new mission, to where it's like, you know what? I don't always have to be funny. Like I can
But you
inspire
are still
and
funny.
entertain.
Yeah.
And also like the DV stuff, it's weird because there was a lot of shame that it was all public, and the post-separation abuse, all of it was out there. He was abusing me publicly every day online. And so I was having to endure this publicly, right? But
Did that impact your true friendships or no?
No, my friends, I'm very lucky to have a small, solid group of friends that were just with me throughout.
Yeah.
So it didn't, like, if anything, it
'Cause they knew
made
you.
us stronger. They
Yeah.
just would come over. They just
Yeah.
got me through it. You asked how I got through it. Friends.
Yeah.
So I have a female support group I go to every week down the street, and I sit there around at this circle at this old beat up church, and we each share, and we deeply share and deeply listen to each other.
Yeah.
So I have a really good community of women, and I think that is how, like, you just can't do it alone.
No, you can't do it alone.
But I'll say this, like, it being so public, like you said, it's a blessing. It's a curse, but it's a blessing too, because so many women are not believed.
I know.
Their abuser is so covert
I
that
know.
they're not believed, and they're going through it alone.
And they're charming is the problem.
Yeah.
So here's what I think people don't understand. How can someone that picks up kids and is talking to other parents and then going shopping in a store and they're so charming, go home and hit someone,
Right.
or emotionally and mentally abusive?
Sure.
And you're right. I want you to know this. So I deal with I'm not in politics, but I have a lot of good friends that are, and work in governments all over the world. Because one of the things I do is I'll go consult with a government on a project, or go to a meeting and speak on a topic that has to do with their country, right?
Okay.
So that's something people don't really see in my social media, but that I do. And so because of that, I've met a lot of people, prime ministers, presidents, diplomats, all over the world. And I just want you to know this. The women I've met, most of them have gone through abuse, and they can't talk about it. And they don't. You know why? The number one reason is people won't believe them, and they'll blame them.
Wow.
Isn't that's to me, that's like so impactful. And these are women you see on television, and the famous actresses, famous governors. I mean, I could go on, and they're scared, and they don't, and they are at such a prominent position that to get to that position and then talk about it is very hard. But you probably don't get this, but you may get it, but I want you to know you're an inspiration, and I'm going to direct them to you, because
Thank you.
they need to be able, they're the spokeswomen of really representing a lot of what we do. And we don't think about this a lot, but we can't go backwards as females.
Yeah.
We need to empower each other.
Yeah.
And so I will be directing them because they're in a position where they really can't talk about it, right? And I feel like I kind of have been in that position, but I try to weave it in.
Yeah.
Your story is so significant, not just to women that don't have power. It's very significant to them too, but women in prominent positions need to hear what you're saying equally.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that means a lot because they're running our governments. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
But they don't know
Wow.
what to do. And so it's even at the point where I'm sure you know this, you should never be minimized. You should never be quiet. You should never be quiet. You should tell your story.
It's funny because people tell me to be quiet. They'll be like, you shouldn't be talking about this,
I was just told this morning to
It's
be quiet.
wild. It's
Clayton doesn't know
wild.
that.
And I'm like, okay. I'm like, being quiet only protects your abuser.
We were in an environment at that point where we were very active in our community in Nashville, Tennessee. And so to say things like that, it would ruin our social group. Right.
God.
And what we did, and because we were majorly involved, I walked away from almost all of our friends because even when it came out, like one time on a ski trip and I had bruises everywhere, it was, there's no way. And even though my kids were with me when it happened, in fact, I was holding one of my children, the comments were, there's no way he would ever do that. And you don't need to talk about it again, even from my female friends, because we all had so much fun. Like, this goes back to this. There's always, people don't get this. There's two sides of the story.
Yeah.
If someone is a monster or abusive or something's going wrong, that doesn't mean that they're not fun in public. You know that.
Of course.
And so the issue is I kept quiet because I wanted our friend groups together. I wanted our reputation and our town together.
Sure.
And that was probably one of the hardest things I did. And I'm embarrassed to say it was my ego.
Sure.
Because now, and some of those women are still some of my best friends.
Yeah.
They did stick with me. They did handle everything. I have friends since I was in kindergarten. I've told you that, of course, were there. But because I was rejected when I started getting heavily abused, I was scared to even talk to my mother and father and my friends.
Yeah.
And then when I did, most of them did say, you probably shouldn't talk about that publicly.
Oh my God.
I mean, and literally they said, what is the benefit of being vocal about it? And my only thing is, someone's got to talk about it.
Someone's
So
gotta
who's going to talk about it?
Yes.
And I have guilt to this day. I should have talked about it more, and I should now. It's just that it does impact you because I'm going to tell you another part that we're not talking about, as if a man's ever hit a woman or if he's been abusive and he hears that, then he may not like you either. You know that, right?
Wait, what do you mean?
So there are some men that are not abusive, but they've done things that have been abusive in their relationships, and they don't want to hear us having this conversation either. They don't want you to say that about another guy.
Oh,
because then
interesting.
you're actually acting like you're a whistleblower or something.
Right.
Do you
I see.
and it's not a whistleblower
Yeah.
when you're in your home and your kids can't live in that environment.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
What is the other option?
Yeah.
And I just want you to know it's both sides are being impacted because they all have an opinion, and that's why people are probably telling you to be quiet.
Yeah, some are, right? And then
But some
and then
aren't.
others are. And then
Yeah.
I'm getting so many messages from women who are like, "Hey, like I finally have the strength to walk away now." Lots of that.
I'm sure.
When you see other women do it, you're more likely to do it too, right?
Well, and your way of walking away has not been easy, and I just want everyone to know that. So
Yeah.
if people are watching this or follow your story, there's nothing easy about it.
No.
There's nothing easy about living with worry and fear either, because when you have kids, I don't care what anyone thinks, when there's violence or there's threats mentally, emotionally, or psychologically, that impacts not just you, your children, because they have what's called imprinting, and that means they feel what you're feeling even though they don't understand it and you don't.
Yeah.
They're aware. So what
It's
you're doing
true.
is empowering your children long term. I mean that.
Thank you.
As hard as it is.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. It is tricky. And abusive relationships are really interesting because they're, like we were talking about before, they're not black and white. So it's dangerous to just focus on the good times. Oh, remember when things were good and the good day, remember that good day? We can have the good days again. And then you're in that cycle, and that cycle can just last for years and years. So to break that cycle, that trauma bond, was extraordinarily difficult. And I think if I didn't have young kids, I probably maybe wouldn't have had the strength to do it. I don't know. Maybe I would have. I don't know. But to break that cycle was very difficult.
Did your mother support you?
Oh, yeah. She actually looked at me and she goes, don't make the same mistake I did.
Yeah.
Because she stayed.
Yeah.
She stayed. And my dad, bless his heart, he's got alcohol-induced dementia now. He's, early 70s.
Yeah.
Still remembers who we are, but, who knows for how long.
Yeah.
But it was very chaotic in the house. You know, good days were good, but bad days were not really bad. And so she stayed.
Yeah.
She stayed.
Well, back
and
then,
so I saw that. And
Yeah.
what do you know? I married, the eccentric alcoholic musician, just like my dad,
Yeah, but
we repeat.
Yeah, you
patterns.
repeat it.
Yes.
It's just how it is.
So she said, don't make the same mistake I did. And then I think about my daughter and I want to show her.
You changed.
That's right.
Yeah.
And not to accept certain behavior.
And your son.
And my
Do you
son.
know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
part of the fear is that your son would think it was okay. It's not okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's
So-
important. Like you've impacted generations.
Yes.
I just want to say that to you because I think in our minds and our lives, we go so fast, we don't realize what we've done. And you're leaving a legacy because you're making a mark and a stance and you're using your comedy to do it, which I love because I personally think the comedy will touch people that it would never touch if it was just a story that was a sad story. Do you know what I mean? You got to bring comedic relief somehow into it.
Well, I was thinking
so
about that.
What is that?
I know. Well, I'm 39 and I'm so excited about my 40s. I'm just actually weirdly excited about them.
I loved my 40s. I'm in my 50s. I loved my 40s.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I want to write a live show. I've been so scared to do a live tour and just perform all over the world. And that's been a dream of mine. I know. And it's I've got all these women all over the world, 25 million plus followers. And I've been so scared to do it, but I want to go and I want to tell my story and I want to make it funny and compelling. And I want people to laugh and cry and feel inspired and motivated and just have a good and entertained, really.
Right.
At the end of the day.
And then hopefully
So-
some of those people will leave and make different decisions.
Sure. So I don't know. I am excited about the future, as chaotic as my life is right now. And I think the way I'm getting through it is just, it sounds so simple, but I don't know if you've read The Power of Now.
Yes.
But I still think about that book all the time, but it's just being here now, being where my feet are. When I start getting anxious about, oh my God, what's going to happen?
That's what I have to do.
This court date or this police officer or this, my son stops speaking, goes through a regression. There's all this shit. Life just keeps lifing. It never stops, right?
It never stops.
And so it's just being here now, being where my feet is, right here in this moment.
Yeah.
Everything's okay. We're just
okay.
having this great conversation.
Yeah.
And that's all that exists right now. Everything else is an illusion.
Yeah.
And we spend 70% of our life or something thinking about what was, which leads to depression, or what's going to be, which leads to anxiety. And so the trick for me is to just keep bringing myself back to right here, right now. And then it's okay, we're okay.
Yeah. It's
It's
honestly
that simple.
It's one of my biggest tricks. When
Right?
when people ask me how do I handle the amount of stress and what we do, I'm in the moment. Now
Just
people
stay in the moment.
Now people say I don't understand time. They're always like Christina.
Time is relative,
Christina
okay?
doesn't
What is
understand
time?
time because she's in the moment and she forgets they have me on a every 30-minute time schedule. Clay knows in the office. So it's Christina, you look this is one of my favorite days because I've gotten to talk to you and spend time with you, which I love, and getting to hear the story of this amazing, magical woman that has been so strong to take care of her life and help others while she's doing it, because that's what you're doing.
Thank you.
You are impacting the world while you're doing it, and you don't even realize it because you're just here in this space, but your energy is so amazing.
Oh.
No one took that from you. I just want you to know, you can feel it when you meet you.
Oh, wow.
So
Thank you.
that's to me, that's all that matters, because we are energy, and we talked about it earlier. We are frequencies, and you're just so high. You don't have to worry about the future because you're going to do so many things. And
wow,
I wish someone would have told me that, because I was like you. I thought I'm never going to get back, because I had this career as a scientist in pharma and biotech and a CEO of healthcare companies in this country, and I thought I'm never going to get back. Because another part of my story was our company, we all worked together, all these people, including my ex-husband. So I thought I'm never going to get back.
Yes.
And you know what? Now Clayton and I are in over 90 countries.
Oh my
and
God.
we have different, you said something about our brands. I think I was determined to not let that kill me.
Wow.
And to become a better version of myself through.
How long did it take you to rebuild?
So first of all, I think it took me, no, it took me a long time. I would say it took me, honestly, 2 full years to completely get over it,
Yeah.
to not feel the pain.
Yeah.
And that was because part of the pain, you're
Yeah.
being brought back into the trauma when you're having to look at documents and things aren't
Yeah.
completed.
I'm still in it.
So you're in the
girl.
middle of it.
Yeah.
But I think after that, it took me, I think I was like you, though. I was working through it
Yeah.
while I was, and then when I finally, I think it was, gosh, you're at year 3. Is that right?
Yeah.
I think I was almost at year 4 when
Okay.
everything became abundantly clear to me that things were better. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
How did I go from my
Yeah.
entire career being in my life, me thinking, oh my gosh, how do I start over now? Like, what do you mean I don't have anything? I mean, we had a beautiful home, beautiful kids.
Yeah.
We lost everything. And so what happened was I just got up every day, like what you just said, and lived that day because my mom was like, you need to get up and get going. When you're too tired, take a 15-minute
I
nap.
know.
So you
It's
are,
like, all I have to do, just go brush your teeth. That's it. Just brush your teeth.
do you know
Just
that's the
do
first
that.
thing? That's your first thing on your list.
Right.
As a psychologist, we should tell patients, go brush your teeth.
Oh my God.
Get out of brush your teeth, and then what are you going to do? 5 things you're going to do that day that
Yeah.
are going to be
Yeah.
something for yourself, but then something for others. And so what happened with
wow.
me is I went back to my mission. Why am I here? What is my
Yes.
purpose? This past is gone. I can't get it back.
Yeah.
Like I can't focus on it. I'll never be what I thought I was going to be then, because I thought I was going to be a healthcare CEO in the United States
Whoa.
that would change medicine. I didn't anticipate globally being able to make changes to healthcare, but that's how life is magic, right? It's like,
Yeah.
but only because I didn't quit. I'm just telling you, that's it. I lived each moment, and Clayton's crawling over to me
I'll
during.
be on camera too. 'Cause I love
Okay,
you.
thank you. So
'Cause
yeah.
It's never over,
Yeah.
right? There's always a resonance of stuff. There is. Like, it's 4 years, but how
I'm
long did
laughing
it
because
take
Clay
things-
crawled over.
I love it.
I just wanted to be on camera too.
He wanted to be with
But-
you on camera.
No, but I think the important part for being the outsider in the process is knowing that women's brains are much more complex than ours,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
especially if you have an eidetic memory like this one does, because things replay. So it's okay.
She didn't know that. So I have an eidetic memory. That means I will see something. I'll remember every piece of something, and I can't forget. Right, and I fit pieces together to come up with a solution. I never finished that when I was talking to you earlier.
Yeah.
So that's hard because I will relive. I can actually watch it like a movie.
Wow.
What happened, which is good and bad.
Which is
Yeah.
great in
Yeah.
business,
Right.
but
And in business is good, but in personal life,
past trauma, there will be things that come up. It could be anything that can
Yes.
trigger the response or a thought of something that has happened, and that's not bad. It just is.
Yes.
And it's a matter of understanding, okay, it doesn't make you. And I think for women, from what I've learned, because I've outkicked my coverage and did quite well.
Yeah.
But
well,
those things of the past are not your doing. They're not your fault.
Yeah.
And since I've learned from my favorite philosopher of all time wrote that we are each an imperfect piece to a perfect puzzle, and understanding that it's your imperfections, that some are designed, some are what happened in the process,
Yeah.
that it's understanding and accepting those imperfections that make you unique, that give you the ability to share those experiences, and knowing some things we're not made to ever experience, right? Child abuse, sexual abuse, all that
Sure.
stuff.
we should never.
That should
Yeah.
never happen in any world.
Yeah.
That's
that
not a
should be there.
weakness. That's something bad,
Yeah.
right? That
But-
shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
But the
Yes.
other experiences are something that create the narrative that you get to share, because the unique aspect of this world, what you experience, is not unique to you. but it is unique for you, and it's how you take that and apply it to know that other people are going through the same things, but they're doing it differently, and they need to know that they're not alone in it. I try to teach our kids, and then I'm going to jump off camera, that there's a weapon that is the most deadly weapon ever created, the katana, the samurai sword, and you have to understand how it's made. You take a raw piece of metal and you throw it in the fire, and you take it out and you beat the hell out of it, and you throw it back in the fire, and you take it out and you beat the hell out of it. You throw it in the fire, you take it out and you start grinding that thing, and you throw it back in the fire. And one of two things happens through this process. It either crumbles and it is not able to endure that process and you start over, or you become forged into something that is indestructible.
You can't
and it's the most feared weapon on the planet.
That's true.
And it's understanding that through that process that you're either forged by the environment you're in, or it's going to destroy you, and it's your choice.
So you get to choose. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Thank you, Clay. No, he's right.
Bars.
No, he's right, and Clay's so right. I'm glad he said this to you because you're going to be so strong. But I'm so sorry. Just like I'm sorry to myself. Like I tell myself, I'm sorry, Christina, you had to go through that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you had to too. But I think it just means the big plans that you're supposed to accomplish.
Whoa.
And so I think your dreams will come true. And I think that honestly, I don't tell people this. Like, you can watch all my podcast. I don't tell people what they're going to do, but I just wanted you to know that I feel that I have this unique ability. We all have unique abilities, right? That are gifts. I can kind of understand the energy of what people are going to do or what they're going to accomplish, and I have no idea why. So I'm able to meet people and understand this person's going to do amazing things before they do it. Yeah. And I think that's just because I'm a scientist and I feel the frequency. And God made me that way. I have no idea.
You're in
but
touch with that.
I am.
And also your supplements.
Well, my supplements don't hurt.
Well, no, because they help you function on a higher level.
They do. And that's my goal. Because my goal is we all have this unique ability, and we are going through, from an energetic frequency perspective, I don't care what religion you're following or what scientific method, there's a lot of people at a very high level that understand we're going through a crisis when it pertains to the economy, to health, to mental, emotional, to all of the world, right? Because our world has been here for a long time. And not to scare people, because it doesn't scare me. We just have to be stronger. And we have to know that we're going through things that we probably don't want to go through and that we shouldn't. What it says to me when someone's gone through what you're going through is you will be prepared for whatever happens in the world, because crises are going to happen, right? Just like no one prepared for the pandemic. But if you had gone through things, it was easier for you to handle. So like for me, working in so many countries, seeing so much destruction and illness and death, it wasn't a big deal to me. Do you know what I mean? Because... And that's what I feel like you're being prepared for, or you wouldn't be going through this, even though it doesn't make the pain less. And I think you should also give yourself a break when you need a break.
Yeah, right.
I hope you're doing that.
Yeah.
You have friends, so I'm sure they're bringing you into that, because that's important. You asked me during your podcast, what are things you need to do for yourself? Some of it's just experiencing joy, and happiness and not worrying, because you have a lot on your shoulders that you don't even show, because you've got 2 kids that are beautiful and amazing, but you're not showing. You're one of the beautiful things about people that are funny. And again, I say this because Clay's funny, and I live with him, and you're funny, and you can catch that right away. Yeah. You sometimes don't like. There's pain in there too, right? But that's why I love comedians, because they're working through that in a way that's also helping others while they're doing it.
Totally.
But I always say this to Clay: take a break, enjoy your day. If all you do is work, and I tell myself this because I work a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
You probably work way more than I do.
Well, they
say you only have 3 or 4 truly productive hours in a day. How do you feel about that?
I don't agree with that.
You don't agree with
There's
that?
no way, because I'm producing stuff. I mean, maybe, but not with zero in.
Sure.
I will tell you this: if I don't take some of the products I've worked on, and don't eat right and don't work out and don't sleep,
Yeah.
forget it for me.
No,
like I'm
forget
just
it.
not going to
Forget it.
produce on that level.
Yeah.
But
That's
I'm
right.
writing patents and formulas and doing research and development, and I have
Wow.
to be on.
Yeah.
So there's days you can't distract me from that for 12, 14 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm on.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm taking 2-0 and I'm focusing and I'm having green tea and
Yes.
coffee. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's not
Yes.
every day.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
How many hours a day are you focusing on work?
I feel like I was telling you on my podcast, the last month or so, I've had this brain fog and I just have not felt as productive, but I'm giving myself grace. I'm like, okay, I'm, going through something, and every single day I wake up, I think there's no way it could get crazier. And then I wake up to something really traumatic happening.
I've been there, yeah.
And I'm just like, and so I'm trying to process that and raise kids and make money and stay sober and sleep right and, also have a boyfriend.
Yeah.
And, it's just like all these moving pieces. So I'm giving myself grace.
Yeah.
But recently I just haven't been as productive. It just depends.
But that's
you know?
okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It just
it's
depends.
okay.
And then I hyper focus and I'll be able to work 10 hours and, write all day or film all day. And it just depends, Right now though, in this period, I'm a few hours of real focus, and then I'm back to the kids, or I'm dealing with court or lawyers or whatever. It's like, yeah, that's just where I'm at right now.
Where can our audience find you? Like how many, because I'm asking because we're in all these countries, right? So one of the things I think we're a little bit different is our biggest base is not the United States.
Okay.
So because I've spent most of my career, or a lot of my career international,
Okay.
our following is mostly
Where are they?
international. A lot in like India, the Middle East. Like
Okay.
I've done a lot in India throughout my career, a lot in the Middle East, a lot in the Asian countries.
Nice.
Our audience has grown more and more in the United States and in Europe. But I've spent, like, when you're hardly in this country, right?
Sure.
The focus has been in these other countries, and it's interesting. I would love to bring this to these other countries with
Yeah.
you, because it just opens up the world to know about you even more.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I want to know where they can find you.
Yeah, so you can find me on any and all social media platforms. You just look at my name, Laura Clery, Laura Clery. You can put it on the screen, but it's just at Laura Clery everywhere. Google me. My podcast is called Idiot, and so that's available on Spotify. YouTube is our biggest. That's where people like to watch,
Yeah. Yeah.
So YouTube, Spotify, Apple, however you consume your podcast. I'm on all of those. It's called Idiot. And yeah, just my name anywhere.
And the books are
books are available wherever, Audible or.
are they translated?
Oh, funny. I think they are. I think my first one is.
Yeah.
Yes. So.
Because we have a huge, like, German, Spanish, we have huge audiences, Russia, Ukraine. That's why I asked.
Cool.
But German is probably, anyway, I just wanted to know to
Yeah.
let them know. If it's not translated, it's fine too. They'll buy it in English and we can have someone help them. And I'd love to have you on one of our Root U's, which we have people on, and we have people from all over the world just talking about this.
Cool.
Because I think it's important. One of the ways we grew that people don't know is this launched the month COVID hit, right? And so it was a community is how it was launched. So we talked about nutrition, but mental, emotional, what you eat, how you sleep. We talked about religion, although from my perspective, because I've worked all over the world, religion to me is we created that as humans, right? Spirituality is a little bit different, but I don't pass judgment on any religion because it's not my job.
Have you heard of the neuroscientist Lisa Miller?
Yes.
Yeah, The Awakened Brain. And she
Yeah.
writes about how spirituality is innate. It's within us.
I think it's just in us. I do.
Incredible. And
think it's-
and if you have a strong spiritual practice, you're like 80% less likely to experience a variety of mental health
100%.
disorders, depression, anxiety, all of that. Oh my God. I mean, I've been in a 12-step program for 14 years and it's a spiritual program.
is.
So you get on your knees and you pray every morning. I pray to a God I don't understand. I just,
I pray to a God I don't understand, but I know He loves me. That's how I feel. I'm the same way. It's every day.
Yes, girl. Why are we the same?
If you don't feel connected to something higher, it's okay if you don't understand
Yeah.
this, who the person is or what it is. To me, I don't need to understand. I humble myself.
Yeah.
I'm being honest. I humble myself
Yes.
and love myself every day through going to him, just like the 12-step program. I'm not lying. I've
Yeah.
done this my entire,
Yeah.
it is so very important to me. And I do believe it's innate. And I believe when you turn against that, you hurt yourself.
Yes.
And so
100%.
I don't judge if someone's Muslim or Buddhist or what. It's not my place,
Yeah.
right? In fact, I don't judge at all.
Of course,
We're
yeah.
just here to make things better.
Yeah.
But I want people to find you, and I
Yeah.
would love to put you on a route because I would love
Thank you.
for women to be able to ask you questions. In this forum,
Yeah.
we bring in people from all over the world, and then they can ask questions. And that helps them get more connected to you.
Yeah.
From a person that was never on social media and couldn't be, that's how they grew the
Wow.
platform. Is we didn't grow it just around supplements or skincare or animal products. We do all of those things, but we grew it around caring about people and letting them have subjects that they could ask questions and learn and be stronger humans.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Which I love it because it's not a religion. It's just that we're here to support each other, and people need to hear your story.
Thank you. That
And they
means a
also,
lot.
I think it helps to ask questions sometimes.
Yeah.
Because then people feel heard. So even if we had you present and there were 5 questions from 5 different countries,
Oh, cool.
you would get connected to those people.
Yeah,
Which
I
you
love
would you
that.
would get more than that. We'd have to cut off the time. But I want to thank you for being on the podcast, and then just meeting you has been unbelievable for me. So thank you.
Same. I feel the exact same way. I feel like this sounds silly, but I feel like we were meant to meet.
We were meant to
because you
meet,
just
yeah.
DM'd me, and I was like, she seems cool, and I like did a little light stalking, and then it just happened.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like last week, and here we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
But we have so much in
Yeah.
common.
We do.
Actually,
We do.
and to
Which we
watch
never-
you
and we didn't know.
to watch you navigate and overcome is beyond inspiring. Because like I'm in the thick of it still, and to see
There's a
like, wow, are you thriving
Yeah.
in every way?
and it could have been different if I gave up. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yes.
But what would I have shown my children?
Oh my gosh.
That I failed and gave up. So I didn't. That's why you're not going to either. Those kids, your daughter, like they love you. Oh my gosh, Poppy. She's like,
Can I have a hug and a kiss?
I'm sorry. That shows you how great of a mother you are. I know, but she's an amazing mother. For her to ask you for a hug and then a kiss. I mean, I'm sorry. She stole my heart. She's beautiful. And you got to protect that beauty because she's amazing. But thank you so much for giving me your time because I know how precious it is.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.